Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game with over 100 cards, and 99% of those cards are bad.
However,
these bad cards still make it into players' Edison format decks every single day. Join me as I dive deep into the abyss of bad card design and put these unloved pieces of cardboard to the ultimate test. 3 duels against random strangers on the internet. At the end of each episode, we'll reveal each card's place on the cursed tech tier list, ranking them from almost competitive to downright unplayable trash. Will we stumble upon a broken combo, invent a new deck, or will we just go insane trying to win a duel using Frog the Jam? You will just have to wait and find out. This is Cursed Tech. Hello and welcome to the 4th episode of Cursed
Tech Tuesday.
This episode has been coming for a long time. We're talking about a card that has unmatched power. A card that is the entire reason I started this YouTube channel in the first place. Berserk Dragon. Berserk Dragon was released in Dark Crisis on December 1st, 2003. This 3,500 attack monster loses 500 attack in the end phase and can attack all monsters your opponent controls.
However,
this monster cannot even hit the field without its trusty quick play spell card, a Deal with Dark Ruler. It reads, you can only activate this card during a turn in which a monster with 8 or more level stars on your side of the field was sent to the graveyard. Special summon 1 Berserk Dragon from your hand or deck. So, what's this card all about? Why is he so mad? Why is he going berserk? I'm gonna show you right now.
That would have been the case had it not been for the second effect of my Dark Ruler trap card, Mr. Wheeler. It summons Berserk Dragon as my deck master.
Berserk Dragon was used by Evil Tristan in the 113th episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. It's in this weird Deck Masters episode, and I don't know if Tristan's voice actor changed recently, but he is the worst voice acting I've probably ever seen in an anime.
You couldn't begin to imagine what monster lurks in my deck.
Tell me!
Oh, you'll find out. I'm about to summon it.
It's so bad. I don't know. They really just were letting anybody do the voice acting of Tristan.
Mr. Wheeler.
So Yugi and Joey team up to defeat Tristan's 5-headed dragon, and to their horror, out comes yet another boss monster straight out of the deck, Berserk Dragon. And fortunately for us, Berserk Dragon is even better in the TCG than it is in the anime. This is primarily due to the fact that a Deal with Dark Ruler, the card that brings out Berserk Dragon, is a quick play spell instead of a trap. Also, in the anime, he has to pay half his life points, and yeah, we don't have to do that. So how are we gonna get this big dragon onto the field? Here is the plan. By the time Edison format takes place in March of 2010, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been printing a bunch of methods to get level 8 monsters onto the field. So in our Berserk Dragon deck, we are going to make use of every single level 8 engine available in Edison format. This includes Beast King Barbaros, Gear Galgatron, whatever that card is, Lone Fire Blossom into Titanial, and best of all, Phoenician Cluster Amaryllis. Amaryllis is one of the only level 8 monsters in Edison format that you can proactively send to the graveyard. On our turn, we can attack with Amaryllis, dealing 2,200 damage. The Amaryllis will destroy itself, dealing another 800 damage. And now that we have met the requirements of a Deal with Dark Ruler, we can special summon a Berserk Dragon out of the deck. If that Berserk Dragon attacks, that will be 6,500 damage in total. And with that Amaryllis coming back in the end phase, a potential 800 more. And as you can see, your opponent is losing life points very quickly. I don't know, it seems to me like Berserk Dragon's got guts. I said he's got guts. Here is my Edison format deck list. Behold, as you can see, this deck does not look like any other deck in Edison. It has wacky cards all over the place, and I am happy to explain everything that is going on in this deck. First up, we are using Beast King Barbaros, a very great level 8 monster because it is a level 8 monster you can normal summon. Next up, we have Lone Fire Blossom, and this card is a level 8 monster by itself. You contribute one face-up plant monster to special summon one plant monster from your deck. The plant monster you are normally going to summon is Titanial. This card is actually really good. It's just a good card. It's a negate, which is rare in Edison format. Next up, we are playing the Hand Trap Tragodia. Interestingly, in this deck, Tragodia is higher than level 8, and so when Tragodia is sent to the graveyard, you can trigger a deal with Dark Ruler, Amaryllis. This card is the dream Berserk Dragon card. Next up, we have the Gear Dragons, sort of a brick in its own right, but is one of the best ways in collaboration with Gear Town in order to get a level 8 monster onto the field. If you do not know, when Gear Town is destroyed, you can summon an Ancient Gear monster from your deck, and you can easily destroy Gear Town by setting another Gear Town on top of it, or setting the other field spell rerun, Mausoleum of the Emperor. We are running 2 Mystic Tomatoes, 1 Sangan, and 1 Violet Witch. You can crash a Mystic Tomato into your opponent's monster, special out the Violet Witch from your deck, crash the Violet Witch into your opponent's monster, use Violet Witch's effect in order to search your deck for a plant monster with 1500 less defense. Unfortunately for us, Amaryllis has 0 defense. Violet Witch can search you a level 8 monster, and if you have a trade-in in your hand, you can then activate the trade-in, discarding the Amaryllis that you just searched. Sangan is great because it gets you to the best normal summon in the deck, Lone Fire Blossom. And Dad is also great because you can crash a tomato, crash a Violet Witch, search a card, and then drop Dad. We're playing Brain Control because we have a bunch of tribute summonable monsters, and also extremely interestingly is the fact that a deal with Dark Ruler says if a level 8 or higher monster under your control was sent to the graveyard. This does not have to be your graveyard. So, if you use Brain Control to steal your opponent's, say, Stardust Dragon, and then tribute that Stardust Dragon to summon your own monster, a level 8 monster that you controlled was sent to a graveyard that turn, which will allow you to activate a deal with Dark Ruler. So silly. I love this deck. And because this deck's primary weakness is bricking, you know we've got to run the card destruction. Heavy Storm and MST are our spell trap removal. We also have enough darks to run Allure of Darkness, and our traps are Skill Drain and Nightmare Archfiends. This card is terrible. It's it's probably the worst card of all time, but you know, if any deck can make it work, it is Berserk Dragon. Let's get into the duels.
I am Berserk.
This first duel, we are up against Gravekeepers, and we are going second. As you can see, our opening hand is not great, but hopefully these draw cards can get us into something good. Our opponent sets 2 cards and then passes the turn to us. We draw a deal with Dark Ruler, which could lead to some Berserk Dragons in the future. We're then going to activate a trade-in, discarding this Titanium. We draw into a Berserk Dragon and a Skill Drain. Then we will activate this Allure of Darkness, drawing 2 new cards again. Our only dark is the Berserk Dragon, so we're going to banish that card from our hand. And then we are going to make a YOLO card destruction play. We really don't have that much else going on, so we're kind of hoping this can lead us to something good. We discard our entire hand. We see our opponent is playing Gravekeepers, and we draw 3 new cards. We draw into a Gear Town, Mystical Space Typhoon, and a Sangan. Then we are going to set this Gear Town to play around Heavy Storm, set this Sangan. Our Amaryllis is coming back in the end phase, so we need to clear this back row. And thank God we did, because it is a bottomless trap hole. We can now banish the Titanial in our graveyard to summon back the Amaryllis, and then pass our turn. Our opponent is going to draw for turn. They're going to use Gravekeeper's Commandant to add a Necro Valley to their hand. They are then going to activate that Necro Valley and then pass their turn. We draw for turn, and it is the best card in our deck, the Lone Fire Blossom. Then we look up the Edison format rulings for field spells. You can only have 1 active field spell up at a time, so all we need to do is flip over our Gear Town, and this will destroy their Necro Valley. Then we can normal summon this Lone Fire Blossom, activate its effect to summon any plant from our deck, and we are going to get another Lone Fire Blossom. Then we can activate this Lone Fire Blossom's effect to summon a Titanial from the deck. We're going to switch our monsters to attack position, go to the battle phase, attack with our Phyrexian Cluster Amaryllis into their hamster, and after Amaryllis attacks, it will destroy itself, sending it to the graveyard. This is great because we can not only get in 800 damage because it was destroyed, but also this will meet the conditions to fulfill a deal with Dark Ruler. Then, we know they have this Raikou set that they got off the hamster, so we can pay 1000 life points to activate Skill Drain. Now, our Sangan can attack over this Raikou, and its effect will not activate because all effects are negated on the field.
Then we can attack our opponent for 2800 with this Titanial. And still during the battle phase, we have a quick play Deal with Dark Ruler. Because that Amaryllis was sent to the graveyard this turn, we can summon out the Berserk Dragon from the deck, which has 3500 attack our opponent directly, and because Skill Drain is activated, Berserk Dragon will not lose 500 attack in the end phase. But you know what we can do in the end phase? Summon back that Amaryllis. This Amaryllis will deal 800 points of damage when it is destroyed, and with their opponent only having 900 life points, they see the writing on the wall and admit defeat. Next up, we have a best of 3 versus meta, and our opponent is playing Welidad Zombies. We are going second, and our hand looks pretty subpar, but our opponent's just going to set one monster and pass the turn to us. We draw a Skill Drain for turn. We are going to set this Sangan, set Nightmare Archfiends, and set Skill Drain, and pass the turn. Our opponent draws for turn. They flip up this Goblin Zombie, normal summon a Mizuki, go to the battle phase, and attack right into our Sangan. That Sangan will search our deck for a Lone Fire Blossom. Then they'll attack with the Goblin Zombie. We'll take 1100 damage and mill the top card of our deck. Our opponent goes to main phase 2 and then ends their turn. And I don't know if you guys see it, but this is the end of the game. There's not a single thing that plays around what's about to happen, and let me show you. We're going to normal summon this Lone Fire Blossom, get another Lone Fire Blossom out of our deck. Then we're going to activate that Lone Fire Blossom in order to get a Titanial. Then we're going to activate our most powerful trap card in our deck, the Nightmare Archfiends. Tribute one monster, special summon 3 Nightmare Archfiend tokens to our opponent's field in attack position, and each time one is destroyed, its controller takes 800 damage. Those tokens have 2000 attack each, but that will not matter when we activate this special quick play card in our hand that is a Deal with Dark Ruler. We are able to activate a Deal with Dark Ruler because a level 8 monster was sent to the graveyard this turn, summoning out Berserk Dragon from the deck. We can go to the battle phase, and Berserk Dragon can attack all monsters my opponent controls, and my opponent has 5 monsters. We can attack into each token, dealing 2300 damage for each one, and then attacking over either the Goblin Zombie or the Mizuki is game. Now it is time for game 2, and we are going second. Our opponent is going to draw for turn, activate Reinforcement of the Army, normal summon an Armageddon Knight, send a Goblin Zombie from their deck to the graveyard, and then pass the turn back to us. We draw for turn, then we're going to activate Trade-In, discarding the Skier Dragon from our hand in order to draw 2 new cards. We draw into a Violet Witch and an MST. We're then going to normal summon the Violet Witch, go to the battle phase, and attack into this Armageddon Knight. This will deal 300 damage to us, but it will also trigger the effect of Violet Witch, which will let us add a Lone Fire Blossom from our deck to our hand, and it will also trigger the effect of Tragodia. Because we took battle damage, we can special summon Tragodia from our hand, add that Lone Fire Blossom to the hand, and then attack over this Armageddon Knight with the Tragodia. We pass the turn back to our opponent, and they activate Brain Control. They pay 800 life points in order to steal our Tragodia, normal summon a Zombie Master, activate Foolish Burial in order to send a Plague Spreader Zombie from their deck to the graveyard. They're then going to activate the effect of Zombie Master, discarding a Sangan in order to special summon that Plague Spreader Zombie. They'll then use the effect of our Tragodia in order to make itself a level 3, and then synchro with our Tragodia and their Plague Spreader into a magical android. They'll then go into the battle phase, attack us for 1800 with the Zombie Master and 2400 with the magical android. They set 2 cards and end the turn. We draw for turn, go to main phase 1, and normal summon this Lone Fire Blossom. This will let us tribute itself to get a plant out of the deck, get a Lone Fire Blossom, tribute that Lone Fire Blossom in order to get the Titanial. We then go to the battle phase, attack into the Zombie Master, and our opponent decides to activate Mirror Force. Oh boy, that is the worst decision you have ever made. Our Titanium will go to the graveyard, and now because a level 8 monster was sent to the graveyard this turn, our Deal with Dark Ruler is live. We're then going to activate Mystical Space Typhoon to clear the way, and after that, we can, still in the battle phase, activate our Deal with Dark Ruler. This will summon out the Berserk Dragon from the deck, which will attack over both of my opponent's monsters, dealing 2,800 points of damage, and then we can pass the turn. Our opponent draws for turn and admits defeat.
And now, the moment you have all been waiting for, the Cursed Tech tier list. Berserk Dragon is probably my favorite build around of all time. Its unique summoning conditions are a deck builder's fantasy. There are so many ways to play and surprise your opponent with a card that literally pops out of the deck at unexpected times. This card is the manifestation of, oh, you just beat my boss monster? Well, here's another one. Berserk Dragon has a ton of raw power that makes it stand out from a lot of other tech cards. I mean, itself alone can kill your opponent on the first turn, which is crazy. However, the primary weakness of Berserk Dragon is the fact that you are going to be losing to yourself. I mean, you could literally build a house with the amount of bricks this deck plays. And it is for that reason that I'm going to place Berserk Dragon in the recently renamed Powerful Cardboard tier. While some games you can absolutely stomp on the top decks, other games, all you're doing is stomping on yourself. Thank you, Berserk Dragon, for inspiring this channel and for always being in my opening hand every single time I play this deck. See you next time. And that's pretty much it.